Okay, Lindsay.
All right. I basically just need to know how to fill out like a revision request.
Okay.
So,
Do you want me to kind of walk through it a little bit and then you can ask questions from there?
yeah, because I'm not sure how to fill it out, I guess, is basically where we're at.
All right. I have an old PowerPoint, and this is from Perkins 101, which you haven't really gotten to go through. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, but that we have that, and that doesn't really help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the form we're supposed to use, Appendix AA,
Uh-huh.
says that you're supposed to list the current activity and then the revised activity.
Right.
But nowhere on here does it say, like, if the current activity was costing us $200 and the revised activity is costing us $400, where do we put where the difference of the $200 goes?
Well, really what the revision, it depends on if the activity is on its own line. Is the activity on its own line item under the goal in the grant?
Yes, I believe so. Like if the equipment, it's a piece of equipment, and what happened is we had an estimate of what we thought it would be, and now it's going to cost more than that, so we're not sure what to do.
Yeah, because we thought we could just make that change and then figure it out in the end, but I think we're being told that you can't increase the goal without decreasing other money from somewhere. But
right.
nowhere on the revision request does it ask us to where we're going to decrease the money from someplace else.
There's a funding box, but I don't know what amount will go there. The new amount, or do I put the amount that was moved? I don't know.
Okay. So when you're filling out the revision request, you put you would probably have, if it's equipment, you have an equipment pool. So what they did when they filled out the application, they probably had several pieces of equipment. And we have that in front of us. So it has that under goal 4. Is it under goal 4?
Yes, it's under goal 4.
And specifically it's PTA.
Okay, so you'd put on the revision request, you put goal 4 line, and then if it has its own line number, and the activity is that piece of equipment that you have in your approved grant, and you put that funding there.
Okay, so we would put, so it's the first item.
Yeah, so if it was $145, I would put that on that first line.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, because we've gone, a lot of times people don't bother to put the equipment line by line, and we have it in a pool by the goal number. But we're looking at your budgeted breakdown of expenses right now, and it's by line number. So
yeah.
So it's going to, instead of costing $145, it's going to cost about $400.
Yeah, it's closer to $400.
Okay, so what you would have to do is you would put in your current activity, you would put what it is, what the grant, right here you would put what the approved grant had. Then the revised activity, I mean, I know it's a new piece of equipment, just like you explained it in the email, what it is and that you had to buy the whole piece instead of just the part. And then put the new funding there. Now, are you planning on spending less in that same goal 4? Are you going to spend less on other equipment because this one is costing more?
Yes.
Yes, I think we're going to do away with one of his other requests for equipment.
Probably the last one down there for $400.
Yeah, probably that. We have something that was going to be $400. I think we're going to cut that out.
Okay. So then what you could do then is the equipment that you're going to cut out, go down to this next line and then put goal 4 and the line number of that equipment that you're going to get rid of. Okay. And then under current activity, you put the approved piece of equipment and what it would have cost.
Okay.
And then again, you put goal. Then under the revised, you put the goal number, and then you put the line number of that piece of equipment that you changed up here. So that shows the money moving from the current activity into the revised activity, which is this more expensive piece of equipment. And then,
Okay.
and then you would put, the amount, let's see. Then you would put the amount of the new equipment there so that they know that that money is moving from the current activity into the revised activity. Does that make sense?
I feel like that just repeated what was up here, but maybe not. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Well, so the first one.
But it seemed like maybe that was repeating it.
Yeah.
So the first one we showed that the funding was $145, and now the funding's $400. And then the second one, we're going to show that the funding for that second piece of equipment was $400, and now it's $0.
Because we're not doing it anymore?
Right. So I told you incorrectly. So on this second one, you would put the piece of equipment you're getting rid of, what it costs. Then under the revised activity, you would just make a note that you are no longer purchasing this equipment and then put $0.
Okay. So the revised activity is no longer purchasing this and put $0.
Right.
Is that correct?
Okay.
Okay.
No.
But we also have to put that documentation, correct?
What?
And you need us to write that explanation in that box, correct?
Yeah, just let us know why it's $0. And you've written it out well in your email. It's just we know that I can tell that you were going to get a part for a piece of equipment and they no longer make it, so now you have to buy the whole piece. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's buying from a different company is what happened. So it's going to cost more because of that.
Yeah, so when you're doing revisions, you can move money within the goal with just this sheet of paper, the revision request. But if you would have to take money out of another goal, like say you still wanted to purchase that other piece of equipment that you just decided to get rid of, then you'd have to do a revised budgeted breakdown of expenses. And we'd move money from one goal to the other.
Okay, that makes sense. And we're not moving money within goals or anything, so I didn't think I would need the other documentation, but I just wanted to make sure that was right. I just need to change it later on before the next progress report, right?
Right. Yeah, just make sure your budgeted breakdown of expenses is correct before the next progress report.
Okay, yeah. There was another one that I need to revise as well. It was professional development.
Okay.
They're going to be going on type of trip, and they can no longer go on that trip, so it's going to be a different trip. And she gave me new estimates of what the cost will be, but how would I fill out the revision sheet for that as well?
Okay, but you don't need to add any money into the goal. The money's the same.
It'll actually be a little less.
I think it's actually going to be less. Yeah.
Okay. So what I would do is just under the current activity, I would just refer it to, I think it's Appendix N, has the professional development. Yeah, Appendix N, just say, please see Appendix N, and then put the funding for that pot of money, because professional development has a pot of money so you can move it around easier. And then under revised activity, just put, please add this new professional development trip for the we'd like to know what the program is. You know, you can put the zip code of the program and then a little bit about the activity and how it benefits the grant. And then you can just put the same amount of funding here as you had up here to show that it doesn't change.
Okay, so I need to revise the appendix that has our professional development trips listed out?
Yeah, you don't need to send that to me at this point.
Oh, okay.
I would just look at the original grant, but you would need to. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the original amount was going to be $2,500 for her trip, and this time I think the amount is going to be less.
Okay.
So I just need.
And that's fine. We don't always see the line item for professional development. We don't see the cost per trip. I mean, that's
okay.
Yeah.
And Lindsay, in this case, we don't. For Goal 5, you have what I'm looking at on the 18 grant application. I have $26,261 for conference travel. That's what's listed. So that and then on Appendix N, there are over 10 or 12 different activities that are listed without any prices. So as long as you spend $26,261 on professional development, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if we go under. She really doesn't need to revise that as long as we stay under is what you're saying.
Right. We just have to
Correct.
approve the activity. Any new activity has to be approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though it's under the 26,000?
I mean, it is a new conference, but
Yeah, if
So
it's a
new
new
conference.
conference, yes, any new activity has to be approved by us.
Right, because I have all the programming activity in Appendix N, as in November, and we've got the zip code, program name, activity, and it's got a revision number there. So if we do have a revision number, you can tie it to one of those activities, and then again you can have that brief summary that's attached to that. And basically that summary would be instead of this activity, we're doing this activity now, so that we can, and then identify it as revision number 1 for professional development activities. But it is important that you do need to spend at least $26,261. You need to spend all that money, and you can spend over that, but that's the Perkins money that you've been handed, and that money does need to be spent, even if there is a conference that costs less than the original conference. That means possibly another conference needs to be spent.
So like this one was, so the conference maybe from nursing, where we were only compensating some, we could maybe compensate more.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
and then we can make those changes. I mean, later on, if we decide, okay, we still have this much to spend, so we need to spend it somewhere.
In that activity, yes. In that goal.
In that goal.
So when you're saying activity, you mean goal, right?
Yes. So yeah, you need to spend. Yeah, if you save monies in one section of that goal, you'd need to compensate somewhere else. Just make sure you get that money spent.
Okay. And so if it's professional development money, it needs to stay as professional development money.
Yeah. Now there is a way to revise the budgeted breakdown of expenses and move dollars from one goal to another goal, but that's another set of paperwork.
Yeah, that would be.
Okay, that
makes sense.
Yeah, Lindsay, your suggestion of paying an additional amount toward an activity that was going to be partially funded would be better than trying to pull it from another source.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so if you add the amounts that we have in Goal 5 and Goal 7 together, we get about $30,659. And if you look at Goal 4, we've got $34,030, and so it looks like we've got more in equipment than 50%, but this has been approved. Am I correct in the way I'm reading that?
I can look.
It should say on section B what it adds up to. And it always, just because it's goal 4 doesn't mean it is actually qualifies as equipment. It qualified under what that goal was.
Okay. So we have some things maybe under Goal 4 that's not equipment.
Right. But looking on section B, it looks like you have $31,285, which is it calculated at 49%. Does that sound?
Okay, yeah, I mean, I have a different number here, I guess, but that may be why they're saying that. Yes, I see on section B where Sue actually listed out what was considered equipment. So I think like some of the DVDs are not considered equipment, but they went under Goal 4 probably.
Got it.
So maybe that's where we were missing that, because we were thinking we were over the 50%.
Right.
According to a spreadsheet that I put together by department and what they requested.
So everything in Goal 4 is not equipment. So that's probably what we're looking at. You're bringing it up here. Yeah, we're looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because, and that's just, it always, sometimes in the past, people always just assumed goal 4 was equipment, but it's just whatever meets that goal, and then equipment is whatever meets the federal regulation for equipment.
Okay. Yeah. Because like for dental assisting, they actually ordered a piece of equipment, but they also ordered some DVDs, and I'm assuming that DVDs would probably not be considered actual equipment, but they went under goal 4 anyways.
Right, they're not equipment. Even anything computerized now federally is a supply. So even so here, I mean, I don't know if you're looking at your section B on the budgeted breakdown of expenses. Radiography has a Pro 4 Surface tablet.
Yeah.
Under federal regs, that's a supply. So.
Okay. Okay. So probably next time we need to be aware of that too when we write the next grant.
Yeah, that's always helpful, and you can always ask, and that helps you to purchase more equipment.
Right. Yeah, instead of just supplies. Okay.
Right.
What else we got?
I think that was all really that I had until I start working on that again.
The appendix A that we're filling out, do we want to do a separate appendix for each change, or put them all on one, or just keep going on down the line? Here it is.
Yeah.
If you have, you know, a couple different ones to turn in right away, you can put them all in one. If it gets too confusing,
Okay, we don't want to necessarily have to do one for PTA, and then do one for dental assisting, and then do one for nursing. I mean, they can go together. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they can go together as long as they're easy, you can follow where the money's going. The main thing is we need to track the money and what's approved and what isn't approved. Because we'll want to see in that, we'll want to see who's going to the professional development, and you can look on your appendix N, and you can send in your appendix N if you want to. It's just not required, but some people do that. It does make it easier. Some people put
yeah, I'm thinking it might be easier if I just revise appendix N and send it to you. That way that you could actually see, you know, what I put in there for her trip.
And that's
otherwise I can just kind of type it out and explain it, sort of like how I explained it in the email. If I just describe what took place or what we want to take place.
You might as well, I guess, just turn it in because you're going to have to do that in December. And like Tobe was saying, it does have a column there for revision number, so you can put revision number 1 under the one. Some people like to put a different color, also whatever's easiest.
Yeah, the important thing would be to make sure the headers are the same, like zip code, program name, professional activity, revision if there is one, and then that summary of the activity.
Okay.
And you know the zip codes.
Yeah, I have access to those. Okay.
Is that it?
I think that may be all. So
okay.
Now we'll just be putting that together. Because I was wondering, when I kind of explained our situation in the email, I was wondering if maybe that would be the same thing that I would kind of put in those boxes, but I wasn't sure if it was or not. I didn't know how descriptive I had to be. So.
Yeah, and what you can do is, using that revision form, just go ahead and put in as much as you think you should, and then and send it to me. And if it's incorrect or we need more clarification on something, I'll just give you a call back. And like I said, make sure that we don't. Let's make sure we have that conversation before we finalize that revision. That way we're both of us are comfortable with the level of detail.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I'll put it together, and then you can let me know if it was on the right track or not.
Sure.
Okay.
Very good. And so I'll expect a couple of different revisions from you. Is that correct?
Yep, at least a couple. So
okay.
I'll be working on those. So they should be, by the end of this week, I'll have them sent to you.
Okay. And you can just send them to me if you'd like, and then if I have questions, I'll bring Laura into it, and then we'll get it from there. Okay.
All right. Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.